If you've been curious about AI inside of HighLevel, this video is for you. We're going to be covering the AI employee. What all does that entail? AI employee is 7 components that live inside of a sub account for HighLevel. You have voice, which is the conversations via phone that has an AI agent to handle it. You have conversation AI, where via WhatsApp or SMS or chat, it can be an AI bot handling those conversations. You have reviews AI, where AI can actually respond to reviews that are coming into the business. Funnel AI, where you can use AI and a couple simple prompts there to build out entire landing pages. Content AI to generate emails or rewriting content on funnels or websites. The Workflow AI Assistant, which is a guided builder inside of the automations area. And lastly, there, an Ask AI function, which is kind of like a ChatGPT conversational overlay to the entire CRM. And what's unique is this is a per sub account charge. So let's first address, why are they even running these promotional seasons? HighLevel makes money from a system called Blade Revenue. This means usually they're taking a sliver of usage. They'll negotiate a discount with Twilio or Mailgun and be able to have space there where they can take a little bit of the markup, pass the discount on to you. You win because it costs less. They win because they're able to make more than just the flat fee that they charge you. And the more you use it, the more sub accounts use it, the more money they make. Inside of a sub account here, you'll see AI agents as a menu option right above marketing. This is the new home for the voice agents as well as the conversation, or is what they call voice AI and conversation AI. Let's get started with the voice AI side of it. They kind of have guided flows here to create your first voice AI agent. So you have an agents list where you can create different agents and attach those to phone numbers. Because this is an inbound process here, you got to have a phone number, because how do you access that voice AI agent is by calling the phone line. You have kind of like 2 modes. There's basic mode and then there's advanced mode. Basic mode, you're going to choose things like your agent name. Oftentimes we'll try to divide this by the function that it's doing. Is it support? Is it triage? Sometimes people will use it to take orders. If a person could do it via phone and answer that phone, you can now do it with an AI. I'm going to call this one support. The business name will default to whatever the sub account name is there, and you get to choose the language. They actually have opened up language support for other languages beyond English, which is remarkable in their globalization of HighLevel as a product there. And then you have a couple different voice options. As you go through it, they've kind of pulled the most popular within the community, or the ones that kind of have a little bit more advanced tonality. You pick the time zone. Once again, that defaults to the time zone for your account there. And then you can see they've been teasing out outbound. Still not live, but it seems that eventually outbound will be possible. I'm going to guess fall of 2025 is when outbound goes live. And then you've got an initial answer message. Now, this is in basic mode. I'm going to show you advanced settings as well here. But so this is like, if I called in, what are you going to hear immediately? Matt's Paintball. How can I help you today? As simple and as quick as you got your basic details there. And then you've got your goals here. It's collecting details, and you can ask it to collect the name, the email, the address. For Matt's Paintball, that wouldn't be relevant. Maybe their issue or their inquiry there. It auto assigns a call summary as a note to the contact. So that's going to happen by default. And then you can email like a post call notification to all of the admins in there, all of the users, the assigned user to the contact, if you're running rules like that. And then you can have it reference a knowledge base of information. But even just in a basic mode here, it's basically an answering service is what you're going to get. They're going to answer. It's going to say, how can I help? They're going to say, I wanted to know, if you're running any promotions for next month. It's going to log that as the issue. It's going to say, hey, can I get your name? Can I ask for the name? Can I get your email? And then it's basically going to say, I'm going to have somebody call you back ASAP. You can actually trigger a workflow when the call is completed. So if you create a specific automation, it's going to have more details here. If you want to do different actions upon call completion, you can do that and log that externally. Or, if you're grabbing an address, you could send a postcard, whatever other actions you would typically have your, voice agent or receptionist handle. It's an answering service. It sends an email after the call. It's basically like advanced voicemail. And then the last piece on basic mode is actually just choosing a number and assigning it to that agent, and it goes live. So you can see in a matter of minutes, or like less than 10 minutes, you can get a voice AI agent live into the account, handling those calls and taking a huge lift off of the business owner. And so you can see, you can test here, and then you can choose numbers or buy a number. You can have it as a backup or working. So this is kind of like preference of when is it working here. If you don't do this, it's just going to call the agent directly, and you can kind of blend these together. So if you want it as a backup, if you want to have it some hours where it doesn't call at all, you do that with multiple agents is how you can run that function. So just imagine I might have one that works. What you can't do is go beyond the start of the day, if that makes sense. Let's say you want it only nights and weekends. So I want it to run 12 to 8, and then I want it to run, let's say, 5 to 12. What you would do is set 12 to 8, and you'd set a second sequence where this is going to be like 11:55. Okay, so there's an example of the settings you could, pick. You choose your number here. I think all of mine are already assigned to other agents, and so I'd have to buy a new number. You assign your number, and then any calls coming in are going to route there. And then if you're setting it as like a backup for the main business line, it'll try to call the business owner or whoever the initial forwarding is there. And if they don't answer, it'll handle that. Some of the advanced settings. So you can set different limits. By default, it's 5. You can go up to 15. So if you're in an industry or they're, even for like an answering service, they're going to take a little bit longer time to have that conversation, or you're prompting calls where you want them to engage a little bit longer with the voice AI, you're going to want to extend that limit there so that it's 15. You can change the response speeds here, normal, brisk, and fast, in terms of how long does it take to process. Cuts down a little bit on the latency there if you want to go with the fast version there. And then you're sort of like idle time. These are finalizing options, whereas you get into it and you realize, okay, for my use case, increasing the response time speed, and if the other person's slower to respond, you can get this kind of like conflict that's happening on the voice AI, or it just feels less human or creates more errors there. So there's our advanced settings on the agent details, foundational stuff. And the biggest change in the advanced configuration here has to do with goals. If we go to the advanced mode over there, so beyond the basic answering agent over here, if I go to advanced mode, it opens up the entire prompting possibility here. Once you go advanced, you can't go back to basic. You do have the knowledge base as something you can reference here, and then you can kind of prompt when you should use the knowledge base, right? So things in the knowledge base, you might include your pricing, you might include the times a day that you're open. All of that is great referenceable information inside of the knowledge base, which would be useful on the chat or conversation text-based, as well as the voice side. And then you've got the large voice prompt here, where you give it context, who it is, it's a support agent, intro, who they are, the goal, what are they trying to do, gather information, get the context there. I've seen people use this to take orders. I've seen people to do this to actually demo AI, create kind of like a self AI answering agent. So it actually gathers the details about the business. And then based on those details, it kind of shifts personalities and now becomes kind of like role plays being a receptionist for their business. So this is just the default prompt, and you can absolutely edify this and continue to make it more robust. My recommendation is they do have prompt guidelines. This is going to be the best place to get the most up-to-date information, because they're constantly pushing the boundaries of the limits and even some of the models they're using. We've seen over the last 6 months, they've probably honestly deployed like 30 or 40 micro adjustments to this because it's tied to a key growth area for HighLevel. They're going to be rapid innovators there. And so I would actually just suggest to stay up to date with their guidelines, because I've seen it where a recommendation that I've made weeks ago became obsolete because of some changes that they make. So I just say keep up to date with their prompt guidelines, and obviously their default is going to be pretty strong out of the gate to get you something close to what you want. And you can see they've prompted now and edified it out how to gather emails, how to spell it back, how to articulate and speak and be more human. But you have complete control over the prompt there. And then you've got actions during the call and after the call. There are 6 different types of actions that you can run either during the call or after the call. What this now allows you to do is to do things like call transfer, trigger a workflow. Then that expands a whole other possibility of other automations you can fire off there. So I'm talking to them. They say they're RSVPing that they're coming or they're going to be late, and that triggers a workflow to notify someone else in the office they're going to be late. You can send a text message. This is older style where people were kind of like hybriding solutions here. Let's say you use a calendar that's not inside of HighLevel. You can't conversationally book to a calendar that doesn't exist in HighLevel. And well, I'll say with the custom action, you might be able to, but it's not as simple as this book appointment. However, you could have it send a SMS that links to that external calendar, whatever it is. You can update certain contact fields. This is great because if they give you more information that you want to log there, you can hold that. So if you're running voice AI system for trying to get people to sell their cars for cheap, and you have a phone number listed on a billboard that says, "We buy cars," probably what you want to gather there is what kind of car they have for sale. This is where you can have a custom field that is make, model, year, whatever it is. And as the conversation is going on, it's logging those details. So, I might say like car, model. So I'm going to log the desired sales price, numbers that they might say, and I'd probably include in my prompting to ask them, what's the make, model, year, and what price are you looking for on the car, or what's the lowest acceptable price you would take on the car. So it's not only asking, gathering information, it'll send you a summary of the call afterwards, but now it's actually logging that into custom fields about the contact, where you can now send that over, fire some other automation. You could actually even use this to get exact quotes on the car or reference a live database. And so that's the update contact field option there. All of these actions can happen during the call or after the call. Some of the things, so booking an appointment, you can tell it which calendar, you can give it the dates to offer there. And HighLevel does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of logistically allowing it to book the appointment. And then the custom action. So this is the latest functionality here. So if you want to fetch that price for the vehicle, you can now say, we want to get, let's say offer. And, when you have the make, model, and year of the car. So I might prompt to get the make, model, condition, and year of the car. And you get those variables there. What is it going to say when it has the details to give it computing time? I'll look up what our best price might be for you. As long as you have a sort of webhook or interface where you can send that details and it's going to return the value that you want, be it $1,500 or $2,000, you can test the webhook and it receives that data back. So similar to what you do in the conversational chat or workflow side of it, you can now do on the voice side of it. So this opens up a whole new world of possibilities with what voice AI can do. It could fetch real-time updates for the weather. You could ask it details about your own sub account. There's so many cool things that you could do now. And so to fully save these actions, you have to do a full test of the webhook and actually receive that information back. And I don't have anything queued up right this moment. Let me know down in the comments if you want a specific build just on this function. But so those are the 6 different actions that can be done during the call, after the call, and then these options were the same ones for the basic mode. But so the big thing is you can control the prompt, you can control the actions during or after the call. And then our last page there is still the same, where you choose the phone number, you choose, if it's a backup or if it's a primary, and different hours there, and then you can deploy your agent. So this fully covers the voice AI agent possibilities and settings there. But as I teased earlier, I do want to now navigate over to the knowledge base. So there was lots of links within here where it takes you to the knowledge base. You can also find it on the left-hand side, just knowledge base. And so the knowledge base function unifies that referenceable knowledge base for conversations as well as voice. So, chat or text-based communication as well as voice communication there. So that blue button to create a new knowledge base, and then we can start it up. And now you can really populate the knowledge base in 2 ways currently. And that is you can crawl different links. So if you have a website, you can literally give it the website to crawl, and it's going to fetch the data, generate FAQs, generate a knowledge base based on that live website. And then the second area there is you can actually add in questions and answers. So these are referenceable FAQs. And so what hours are you open? And then you can save those individually and keep on adding different FAQs. And so this is really handy because, like I said, it's the same data, same information for voice as well as text-based, so conversation AI and voice AI. And then, coming soon, like I said, I feel very confident by fall of 2025, you'll also be able to upload files in there to assemble this. And so then you can reference these links on the side are just really those 3 areas: the web crawler, the FAQs, and the uploaded files. as you add information, so even just one FAQ, it's considered a knowledge base. You can add a description here. This is really just for internal. We come back to our knowledge base, and there you have it. So all of that data is now referenceable in conversation AI as well as voice AI. Back at the dashboard here, I want to cover the conversation AI, the second component to the AI employee. And your quick reference here is the AI agents. It's really just kind of quick links you over into the sub account settings there. And it tells you the voice AI, the conversation AI. We're going to go to conversation AI. This kind of spells out the steps where you can configure these AI bots. So conversation AI, why is it important? This is all the messaging back and forth. I think it's the predominant form of communication today and probably into the future. And we're talking like live chat, we're talking SMS, we're talking WhatsApp, DMs, the way that most of us communicate. And now you can have that entirely handled by bots. And their process now is a combination of the knowledge base that's shared with voice AI and independent bots just for conversations. They have kind of a quick build of general Q&A and appointment booking. It takes you to the same place. So I'm just going to go ahead and start from scratch. So 4 main tabs for creating a bot: the settings, the training, the goals, and then just sort of like managing the dashboard of all of the output there. And so we're going to start with a name. And so I might call this our support bot. Now I get to choose what channels. As you can see, we got 6 different channels here. The DM channels, Instagram, Facebook. You've got SMS on phone, chat widget, which is, they put it as an independent channel there, but it's really still SMS. It's just via the chat widget kind of lead capture form. And you got live chat and WhatsApp. So all 6 of these channels, text-based communication, where AI bots are incredibly helpful. You can set up bots per channel if that's relevant, or you can just be like, I want a bot for all the channels. Doesn't matter what channel they're coming from. I want them to interface with this channel there. And then you've got a couple of autopilot settings here. So put a delay, like force it to wait 2 seconds to reply. And then the maximum amount of conversation settings that you can go to back and forth. This does cap out at 25. Even on the unlimited plan, it will only go back and forth 25 messages. That's intended to be a safeguard in case you got 2 bots chatting. It's just like endlessly back and forth. And I will say with AI employee, your bot costs are fixed, but for certain channels like SMS and even WhatsApp, there are additional fees for sending a text message. And so that's not capped. And so they kind of put this reasonable limiter on there so that someone doesn't accidentally have a $10,000, phone bill. Now we're going to go into the bot training, and this is where you can really start to refine it. I've got a few knowledge bases. You can actually reference multiple knowledge bases depending on what you're having it refer to. And you see they kind of bring the knowledge base training options in here. Third option here to upload files, which will probably be live by fall of 2025, isn't here. But as soon as it is live, I'm sure you'll see it in here as well. And that's where you can sort of train it in a live interface and also even run tests for your bots. And the third and final piece here is goals. And so this is really the magic behind any of the conversation within voice AI is like, what do I want it to do? And so you've got a combination of prompting for your goals as well as actions. So in the prompting, you're giving it kind of personality, the intent, as well as kind of like what are some decision-making guidelines. But then you can be like, okay, what are you trying to do? What are the goals here? And add in everything from booking an appointment, which there's fixed settings here. HighLevel does a lot of the heavy lifting where like I picked the calendar. I chose whether it books the appointment or just does a booking link, whether it wants to stop talking to the bot after it's booked, whether you want to trigger a workflow after the booking, whether you want to transfer to like a specific employee on successful booking, allowing the bot to cancel the appointment, allowing it to reschedule. Those are newer functions there. And otherwise, don't create conflicting rules here. If you're allowing it, make sure that your prompt doesn't say you can't do it. So we can set it up to book appointments. We can set rules for when you turn off the bot. So you can enable or have it disabled here. So if someone says, you don't need to keep on being helpful, like you're sunsetting the conversation, you're not always trying to drive the conversation, which a lot of times AI bots are that way. We're like, they are continuers of conversation. So really great to engage, really, not natively set up well to sunset or, say goodbye. And so this is where you can literally specify when. So if they say bye, you're like, here's what you can say. You can say, thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Sunset the conversation well. And then you can also set a time to reactivate. So within 24 hours, then it's listening. Now it's not doing outbound, but it's just saying, don't keep on re-engaging there. And so you can set up that scenario. And so this is kind of the cool thing about actions, similar to actions with the voice AI. You're not limited to one. It's not like you're setting, this is the one action for this bot. It's just, when do you want it to do these things? If you want it to do these things. So you can have it add more contact information, similar to voice AI with updating a contact field. The action name, what field is being updated. These are the custom fields, as well as what to update the field with. So this is all prompt based. Go ahead and save it. And then I can add new ones. So if I want to update multiple pieces, I just have all that contact information logged here, and it can receive it at different times. Next one here is the workflow triggers. This really opens up the whole world of automations, anything you can imagine with automations. And the last one is you can transfer. So there are certain scenarios here where different channels, different actions, depending on how guarded and how many like bumper rails you want to put in place. I will say, depending on how complex the scenario is, the more specific the instructions, the more effective the output. Same thing with humans. Your specialists are typically better than your generalists. And so sometimes pairing bots in that way, where I've got like a generalist triaging bots, and then it hands it off to specialist bots, it's a really good combination. From the chatter, from the the contact on the other side, they don't know. They don't know that there's been a handoff here. It's not like you're talking to someone on the phone and their voice changes. It's just internally you can structure in this way and have sort of like a handoff between the bots there. And so the last tab here is our dashboard, which, as I mentioned, is going to give you kind of some insights into who's interfacing with it per channel, per date, how many success actions happen, triggers, appointments, how much time was saved. And so it's just like a little bit of like a dashboard to see how effective it was and give you some KPIs and reporting on the on your bots there. And so this is the Conversations AI. If there was a scenario that I didn't cover, you want to go deeper into, definitely let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to circle back. From within the dashboard here, we're going to look at Reviews AI. This is the ability for AI to actually respond to reviews as they're coming into the system. So we're going to go to the Reputation tab and then over to Settings. Now it's the first option inside of Settings is Reviews AI. And so this is responding to reviews as they come in, and pretty easy and quick to configure. Our default one is the carryover from the legacy review responding here, but now you have the ability to really customize the agent instructions here. These are still the default instructions. I'm gonna give you a couple of advanced tips for making the most out of this, but out of the box, still really great. So you can create an agent. You've got a couple different personalities in here in terms of, is it optimistic? Is it professional? Is it empathetic? Is it playful? Is it solution oriented? I really like to focus on the optimistic possibility there because of advanced ways you can leverage this. So we call it Taylor Sailor is the agent name here. The default instructions, you'll be provided with reviews of a business, reply to the reviews with a focus on customer success, highlight how the business values feedback and is committed to continuous improvement. Here's the X factor. You have the opportunity to do a little bit of like keyword injection. And so you can tell it, be sure to include phrases like, and then tell it what the exact phrases are. So best, this is paintball in Denver, best paintball in Denver. It would be the ultimate if your actual customers left a review saying they are the best paintball in Denver. But second to that is in your reply, because it's still part of the reviews process there. So this is where you can inject some keywords into the phrase. This is actually kind of magical because if you're trying to communicate the value of Reviews AI as a feature to other businesses, it's like SEO, but you don't have to create a ton of content. You don't have to write blog posts or anything like that. You just tell it what phrases you want. I don't care how long it is. The tone's there. We like to be optimistic and sometimes funny, like give it some personality. Choose the language there and just apply to all reviews. You can include a footer. This was the old limited possibility there where you can have that phrase included every single time. Another little hack here, if you want, is include a call to action. So I might do like, PS, if you're reading this review, head over to, and then I'll give them the page, right? So it's like mysite.com/ whatever it might be, bonus, and mention this review to get 10% off your next order, something like that. So for your deep divers, your inquisitive folks, you can add that in sort of like a footer here, and you can either kind of inject some keywords you want to have there, or kind of have a little bit of an Easter egg with it. And it's going to show up every single time. And now you can track and see for the businesses, like how many people are going to mysite.com/bonus. You put on auto response there. But this is one of those things where you can set it and forget it, and it continues to work while you sleep. You never have to come back to it. And it's just a huge value add. For the 3 components of the AI employee that are, I'll say, more valuable for active builders, the content, the workflow AI, as well as the funnel AI. I'm going to actually start with the funnel AI because that will lay the foundation and the groundwork for us to showcase some of the content AI examples there. And so you're going to head over to sites, and then it'll default to funnels. And click on new funnel, and we're going to do funnel AI there right in the center. You can choose the name of the business and call it Matt's Paintball. Select the industry. I'm looking for a funnel for my paintball center business to generate more leads, and the content should be humorous. And we're going to go ahead and generate. And so it says generating pages. I'll be honest, right now in its present state, it generates a single page content, but it does give you a good starting point. And it does the design, it does the copy, and it gives you something to work from. I do know they're actively evolving this into more of a prompt to build style funnel builder, something probably that's going to compete with the likes of like a Lovable or these other sort of like prompt builders. But for right now, it gathers the images, it generates the copy, it even designs the layout and framework of the site. And you can see it takes less than a minute to generate and at least get a starting point there. So here's what we've got. Maybe this was a tricky possibility here, but I'd probably rate this as a B-, maybe a C in terms of the actual funnel generation process here, but that's relative to your skill set. They did get an image of a paintballer. There's another paintballer over there. That's currently it's in beta, and I anticipate by fall of 2025, we're going to see huge leaps and bounds in terms of what the funnel AI can do. For the content AI, here's one example, is inside of funnels or websites, anywhere that there's a text builder, see the option here for AI. You've got 6 different options: generate with AI, improve writing, fix spelling and grammar, simplify writing, make it longer, or make it shorter. Now we're going to look at the workflows AI, which is an assistant builder for the automations area. To get there, you're going to go to automation. We're going to go ahead and just create a brand new blank from scratch workflow. It's the blue button to create a workflow, start from scratch. You kind of see it already happen in there in the bottom left, and you can have it analyze the workflow, which is kind of cool. So if you have an existing thing, you can have it like describe what's happening in the workflow. It can help you identify or optimize like something that should be changed there. It's asking, what do you want this to do? What are the options here? Now I can have free conversation with it. So I want to build an automation that will send an email every time a contact is created. It should say trigger contact created, action, send email. Really good for guiding you through what to build. And I've seen, still performs, I'd give it like a B+ most of the time across there, maybe even an A- category, especially for builders. So if you're learning, growing, and want help with this, it does function and guides you through the process of building. The last piece to cover of the AI employee actually is the Ask AI. This is sort of like a ChatGPT conversational interface that overlays the entire sub accounts. You find this in the top right, those kind of like blue star icons that are happening there to Ask AI. And you see it's got some pre-prompted sort of questions you can ask. So very similar to the workflow AI in the sense of it'll guide you through doing certain things, but not limited to workflow. So now this is intended to cross over all of the functions of HighLevel, kind of just be like a general AI kind of co-pilot. So it's currently in beta. So I think I see where it's going. It's just not quite there yet. So let's generate some engaging content ideas. I believe it is connected to OpenAI, so it's very similar to like a ChatGPT you can kind of get over here. But I think where it has promising potential here is to be able to ask it questions like, how many new leads did I get last week? Right now, as you can see, it doesn't have full insight into all of that to talk about opportunities and contacts. Right now, I still rate this as the least valuable feature of AI Employee. This has been a complete deep dive and walkthrough of AI Employee. As always, to say the latest and most up to date, we have our free community and we have all the stuff that we're doing on the inside. I actually host weekly calls just on AI Employee for our folks. And so if you're interested in that, please take a look at the links I got in the description there. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll do my best to respond to every comment that you post. I'll see you on the next video.